Hello, this is the backup video for Ancient History. Thanks to Miss Owens, who reminded me because I was forgetful. And this is Wednesday, the 7th of October, 2020. Excellent. And you earned a very good grade. So we're in the middle of doing creation myths, and we are now on the Shona creation myth, as done by Mr. Dixon. Now, bear in mind, what she did was above and beyond. Okay? She did not have to go through all that detail. I said an informal 3-minute presentation. So,
no pressure.
No pressure.
So luckily mine is a lot like that. So my name is Ryland Dixon and I did the Shona. Some background about the Shona people. They were best known for their pottery, artwork, and ironwork.
A little louder, please.
They lived on a plateau region in Zimbabwe, and they had a lot of droughts, so the pools of water were very good to them, I guess. What it says about human life. The Shona people say that life has a purpose, and that purpose is to love, and that everyone is useful and has a purpose, I guess. They have a form of God which was already created, and then what it says about the universe. God created Mwedzi in a deep pool of water. Mwedzi is the moon. Mwedzi begged to live on Earth, so God let him. God sent down Hueva to become his wife. Hueva is the morning star. God said that after 2 years on Earth, Hueva must return to the sky. And then they gave birth. Hueva gave birth to vegetation, and then Hueva left. And then the moon became lonely, so he sent the evening star, and then they gave birth to herbivores, birds, and man. And then after 2 years, God asked for Star to be returned. They declined and created predators. That's kind of the creation myth in whole. The bodies of water are very important, and in the prayer in the packet, I guess the passage about it is just a prayer, and it talks about how God created everything on earth and how everything was created out of pools of water. And then I drew a picture as my artwork, and it's just a hand reaching out of a pool of water.
Thank you. So, a couple of things about the Shona creation myth. What I included in the packet was not what either of you used. You both went beyond, which is okay. But the brief prayer that references creation in the packet says something in particular that I want you to understand. However, do you think you know why it was necessary for the evening star to go back to heaven after her 2 years, and she didn't? What happened because she stayed? What happened because he insisted that she stay?
Predators were created.
Yeah.
The predators, well, the snake technically was responsible for creating all the death and disease.
Yeah. So had they been obedient, we would have lived in a paradise without predators. But their disobedience, brought upon by love, but still disobedience, brought suffering to the world. It's a different story than Pandora's box, but or the Garden of Eden, but it has a similar sort of human agency about it. In other words, we bring about our own suffering. This is all done? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. The Shona prayer, as in the packet. Great Spirit, piler up of the rocks into towering mountains. When you stamp on the stone, the dust rises and fills the land. Hardness of the precipice. Waters of the pool that turn into misty rain. When stirred, vessels overflowing with oil. Father of Runji, who sews the heavens like cloth, may you knit together that which is below. Caller forth of the branching trees, you bring forth the shoots that they stand erect. You have filled the land with mankind. The dust rises on high, O Lord. Wonderful One. You live in the midst of the sheltering rocks. You give rain to mankind. We pray to you, hear us, Lord. You are on high with the spirits of the great. You raise the grass-covered hills above the earth and create the rivers, O gracious one. What stands out to me is that there should be a reaction that we have to being created. And that reaction should be gratitude. Gratitude and wonder. We exist in a world filled with wonders. We exist. We are. We get to experience light and rain and dust and pain and all the stuff that goes in between. We get to live for a time. For a time. For a limited time. And the gift of life is something that we should be grateful for. That, to me, is what is conveyed by that prayer, because that seems to be the attitude of that prayer. And just consider that. What we have next is we're moving from Africa to Europe, and we are going into Scandinavia to the Norse myths. So let's look and see who, if anyone, well, let's see. We've got Miss Janae. Where are you?
Over here.
Where?
Over here.
Okay. Like the last place I looked. It's my fault. And in B, we've got Miss Anderson. So, again, we'll roll the dice to see which of you gets to present first. Okay, 6. You. And 6. Oh, evil. Roll again.
Okay.
20. Come on, matcher. 23. Nope, 15. Okay, Miss Anderson, you get to choose. Do you want to go first or second?
Second.
It's not a good sign, but okay. Come on up, Miss Janae. Yeah.
I had a question about the
Shauna?
I was curious. How do you explain omnivores? Did they when the carnivores were created? Does that
Well,
mean
not all carnivores are dangerous to people.
Yeah.
For example, the most dangerous spider by poison is the daddy longlegs. But the daddy longlegs is no danger to us because they can't pierce our skin. So we think of them as helpful spiders. But I don't know. Remember, most tribal peoples are not hyper-intellectual like Greek philosophers. Most of them are just trying to get to the point. Where does the animal that kills us come from? It comes from the bad choices of people long ago. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Actually, that's a good. If you ever get a chance to go to Zimbabwe or talk to somebody from there, you can ask them about it. Although there are Matabele from Zimbabwe who are different.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay, thanks.
Proceed.
Yeah. The Norse are best known for their sailing.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Juliana. I'm doing the Norse.
Okay.
The Norse are best known for sailing and plundering. The Norse are basically just Vikings. I mean, the Vikings are the Norse that went raiding, and basically all Norse went raiding. That was part of their culture. They lived in modern Scandinavia and then settled in countries in the UK. They normally settled in places with cold climates and rocky land because mostly they weren't farming. They were going to other places and exploring and taking what the other people had. They wore furs. When they wanted to conquer, they went in ships, which were swift and well built. They fought with swords and axes. They all believed that Odin gave them power in fighting, so that was why they were so fearless. They believed that the earth started with a bottomless deep, and then there was a world of light and a world of darkness and cold, and a breeze from the south melted the ice. The warm and cold air made the clouds. The congealed clouds made Ymir and a cow named Odhumbla. Giants born from Ymir's sweat were born from Ymir's sweat, and Ymir drank the cow milk to stay alive. The cow licked the ice to have something to eat and drink, and when the cow was licking, it found some hair, and it unlicked out a god. The god was named Buri, and Buri had Bor. Bor married Bestla, and they had Odin. So Odin and his brothers fought Ymir. They killed him, and the blood killed all the frost giants except Bergelmir and his wife, because he made a ship, which is why the seafaring was so important to the Vikings as part of that. Odin made the world out of Ymir. The skull was the sky, the clouds were the brains, the bones were the mountains, the flesh was the earth, and the hair was the plants. They made Midgard, which is the defensive wall against the giants, which was earth. Made someone named Ask out of the ash tree, and Embla out of elm, which were the first humans. So I thought it was interesting that the earth began out of ice and fire, which were opposites, and the clashing of the opposites made the world. The Norse believed that they would go to a Norse heaven, which is the Hall of Odin, to fight if they were good warriors. And they could fight at Ragnarok, which is like the end of the world.
Well done. Well done, Mr. May. Ms. Anderson.
I have a slideshow.
Oh, yeah, we'll get you set up. You should be able to sit down and go into your Google Drive and get it ready. What? Oh, yes, please shut the right light switch off and close the shades. Ms. Burke. Oh, thank you. Right light switch and close the blinds. The windows, the Venetian blinds. You pull the string, and then you let it go. Does somebody want to help her with it? Venetian blinds are especially talent. Thank you. And who do you want to be your Scotty?
Sure. So go ahead. You said North Creationist by A.
And you are.
Emma Anderson.
And remember, Emma, you don't have to keep your mask on unless you want to while you're presenting.
Okay, cool. So at first there was nothingness called Gap, and from this nothingness, in between the nothingness was Niflheim and Muspelheim.
Okay, you're going to have to speak slowly and loudly.
Okay, cool. So there was an abyss, and on the two sides of the abyss, there was Niflheim and Muspelheim. So Ymir, his name means cry, and he's a godlike giant that made the other frost giants from his sweat and from his legs. And he used the cow Ahuma to feed him her milk. So Fury's family. Ahuma licked the ice until Fury popped out, and Fury was the first of the Aesir gods who were warrior gods as opposed to the fertility gods. And Fury had a son named Bor, and Bor married Bestla, and Bor and Bestla had 3 kids, Vili, Lee, and Odin. Odin and his brothers killed Ymir and made the world from his corpse, oceans from his blood, soil from his skin, and muscles, vegetation from his hair, clouds from his brains, and the sky from his skull. The gods came across two trees in the shape of man and woman, and they gave the humans what they lacked and made them into the true humans. Odin breathed the breath of life into them and named them Ask and Embla. And now let's see the Norse. They were best known for being great warriors and navigators. They lived in the Scandinavian area, and they were likely to be the first Europeans in North America. Their homeland is cold and dry, and they raided their neighbors, England, and raided monasteries because they were easy targets. And their ability to sail anywhere and win many battles made them feared. They believed that dying in battle and going to Valhalla was a great and honorable death, and they were mostly warriors. The thing I noticed with this myth is that it commonly disgusts people, but I thought this was really fun and weird. Okay, are there any questions?
Thank you, Emma. Please do sign out of your Google account.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zoe.
And I'm going to be taking it. Okay, yes, thanks.
So, what stands out to me is that, first of all, life creates life. Tracing things back to Ymir, the giant, life does not come from lifelessness. It comes from something that is alive. Now, you also see some of the classic elements. Yggdrasil, the great tree that connects the universe, makes an appearance. And there is, I think, a hint towards Ragnarok, which is the battle that ends the world. The Vikings do not have a happy ending. The ending is, if you're a strong warrior, you get to drink with the gods, fighting every day and dying and then waking up at night, partying, and then going back and fighting and dying and then waking up and partying. And that until Surtur of Muspelheim, king of the fire giants, attacks Valhalla in conjunction with the frost giants and brings the end of times and the destruction of everything. So Vikings believe the world dies, and it's not a question of trying to live forever. It's a question of trying to live well. And there's a vividness to Viking tales that has in common with the Greek tales. They are good stories. So, now that we are through the Norse, we've got Greek. And let's see, I'm sure we'd have a bunch of people doing the Greeks. So in 4B, we've got Josephine. Where's Joseph? There you are. And in 4A, we've got a bunch of people. We've got Maddie Burke, we've got Titan, Ella, and Hannah. So I think what I'm going to do for my own sanity is not have people roll. I'm going to have Josephine go first, and then I'll just call you up and you can go. So hopefully you're ready to go. Do any of you need the projector? You'll need the projector?
No, so I think you said my name by accident. I actually did Chinese yesterday.
You did.
So I don't think
Maybe we switched you. That's possible. So Titan, that's who you are, right? Yes, that's absolutely right. I misread it. It says Titan myth. It's spelled differently, but I assumed it was you. So, Josephine, you're up.
Okay.
Okay, I asked again. Does anyone need the projector? Madison, do you?
No, but I have my notes for the presentation.
All I'll ask you to do is try your best. It's not going to be the end of the world. I don't expect you to know everything. Just go up there and say what you know, and if you need help, I'll ask you a question or two and help you through it. But to me, what's important is that when it's your time, you do your best. So, could you get the light, please? Thank you. Josephine, you may fire when ready.
Hi, my name is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Turn it on. Both of them.
Hi,
Thank
my
you.
name is Josie Golbieski, and I'm doing the Greek creation myth. And one thing that I find really interesting, or the Greeks are really well known for, is their philosophy and then advanced education and rhetoric. So a long time ago, there was only one goddess, and her name was Chaos. And Chaos was very lonely, so she created the gods Gaia, which is the goddess of earth, Tartarus, the god of the underworld, and Eros, god of love. These deities are what created peace and harmony and essentially created the earth. Chaos and Gaia had gotten together, and because of their rendezvous, they created the rest of the universe. So Chaos gave birth to 2 children, and Gaia gave birth to Uranus, god of the starry night. Uranus and Gaia had gotten together, but Uranus would imprison his children, so he's super horrible, and Gaia did not like that. And so she got one of her sons, Cronus, to castrate Uranus. That's a lot to say. Okay. As Cronus became the new leader after Uranus was castrated, Cronus, as well as his father, was also very dreadful to his children, and it was prophesied that Cronus will have a son that will take over him, so he would eat his children. So, yeah. So Cronus had a wife, her name was Rhea, and Rhea hid one of her children, which is Zeus, so Cronus wouldn't eat him. Eventually, Zeus had grown up, so Zeus and Rhea had poisoned Cronus, so he had thrown up all his children who he had swallowed before. And then, so Zeus banished Cronus and as well as the Olympians, so like Zeus's Cronus' siblings. So Zeus was now the leader of the gods and all the goddesses. I think it's really interesting how the gods and goddesses all work together to create like a universe, and they're very important and have their own specific role. And I also find it interesting that how like everything was prophesized, and I think other ancient like stories like in Beowulf they have word as in fate, and like in Odyssey they have the oracle as Delphi. And I just find it interesting how many stories have different things that they prophesize or have as fate, and same with the Greek.
Okay. Mrs. Burke, let's give it a try.
Can I bring up the
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Maddie Burke, and I'm doing the Birth of the Gods. Greek one. So in the beginning there was Gaia, the earth, and chaos, a void of darkness, I guess. And out of darkness came the night and Erebus, which means darkness. And from the night came ethers, or the atmosphere, and the day. And the earth, or Gaia, produced the sea, the ocean, and all the other bodies of waters, I guess. And she also created the Titans, the sun, or Hyperion, Rhea, and Messamine. I don't know what's that.
Mine estimate, and it's it's hard. Don't worry about it.
Messamine. Phoebe, or the moon, and Kronos. And the children of Gaia were fathered by Uranus, who is the sky. And Uranus became jealous of the affection that Gaia had for all of her kids, and he wanted to destroy them, which is mean. And he hid them away from Gaia, and she was tired of his jealousy, and she had to, well, she didn't get to witness her children growing up, which she was sad about. And so and then Kronos wanted to take revenge on his father, and so he came and castrated his father, and then the blood fell into the ocean and made sea foam, which made Aphrodite, which I think is interesting that the goddess of love came from act of violence. And Kronos married Rhea, and he was now the master of all the gods. And they had children: Hestia, the goddess of earth, Demeter, Hera, Ares, and Zeus. And Kronos, like his father, was jealous of the attention that their mother gave them, and so he tried to eat them all. But then Rhea replaced Zeus with a fake Zeus, which was a rock. Which I thought it was weird how he didn't realize it was a rock when he was eating it, I guess. And she kept Zeus and had him grow up in secret. And then when Zeus grew up, he overthrew his father and saved his siblings. And then he killed his dad Kronos. And then they battled against the Titans for the mastery of the universe. And then Zeus won and set up his court on Mount Olympus.
Now, I believe that Ella and Hannah are doing the Eurynome and Ophion, right? Not the Titan myth, not the same myth that these guys just did.
I'm doing the same.
You're doing the same one they did?
Yeah, I did the same.
Okay, then we'll have you both go. Why don't we have you, Miss Foster, and then... So, did I grade it? We were talking about this earlier, weren't we? Well, what I'll have is I'll have Mr. Rassick go first. I'd like you at least to go up in front of the room and say a few things about it. Okay? And then we'll try to find your email. I'll give you the best grade between the two. Yeah. Ella? Mr. Rath? Sorry.
So, hi, I'm Ella Jurassic, and I did the creation myth for the Verse of Gods, Greek number 24. So, in the beginning, there was chaos and earth, or Gaia and chaos. And chaos had two kids, night and I think the upper atmosphere. Then Gaia and Uranus had children, the Titans, basically. So they had the Titans, which was Kronos and Rhea, and etc., etc. So Uranus was jealous of his kids because Gaia was apparently a very loving mother. So he took the kids and he hid them in a cave in the earth. And as the kids grew up, it kind of caused Gaia pain that she was the earth and they hurt her. And she got sick and tired of Uranus' crap. So she snuck Kronos into their bed with a sickle, and so Uranus came to sleep, and Kronos castrated him and threw his parts into the ocean, and from the sea foam came Aphrodite, and then Uranus kind of like disappeared or either died or something, and from his blood came the Furies who make justice, who do justice on people and stuff. Then Kronos married Rhea and became the ruler of people, and he was just like his dad Uranus, who he didn't like the attention his kids were getting from his wife, so he swallowed them all. She's a good dad. But Rhea didn't want this, so when she gave birth to Zeus, she hid him on an island, I think Crete, I'm not so sure, and she gave Kronos a swaddled rock to swallow, and he didn't notice that it wasn't Zeus. So the next couple years, Zeus grew up and was nurtured by the nymphs of the island, and he disguised himself as a servant of Kronos when he was of age and a man. And he poisoned Kronos' favorite wine. Poisoned, more like did something to it. And made him throw up all of his children that apparently survived the digestive juices. And so they all got thrown up and they declared Zeus their king. And they overthrew Kronos and killed him. and all that. And for the next 10 years, they fought with the Titans until the Olympians won, and Zeus created Olympus and all that stuff. That's about it.
You know how a giraffe sounds when it screams? They don't really scream. They don't have them. They make noises sometimes.
They also have really long purple tongues.
Yeah. Okay, you ready?
Okay,
Go for it.
so I'm Hannah, and I had the Birth of Gods 1-2, and then I put at the beginning there was only Gia, and then their kids were fathered by, I don't know how to say his name.
This would be Kronos or
Eurynomé.
Eurynomé.
Him. And then afterwards, there were many groups of the children, such as the Titans, and there was a lot of jealousy in the family. And then the dad was jealous of how Gia was treating their kids. So then the mom gave Kronos the weapon sickle thing. And then after he killed them, he threw them into the sea. And then
Basically, Hannah, at this point, do you have anything to add that they didn't say?
not really.
Okay, thank you. No, that's not. I have your video. Thank you. Video. Okay. Regarding the Greeks, there are several legends. I'm going to do 21. First of all, the voice Chaos came into being next broad-bosomed Earth, the Gaia, the solid and eternal home of all, and Eros desire, the most beautiful of all the immortal gods, who in every man and every god softens the sinews and overpowers the prudent purposes of mind. In other words, love makes you crazy. Out of the void came darkness and black night, and out of night came light and day. Her children conceived after union in love with darkness. Earth first produced starry sky, equal in size with herself, to cover her on all sides. Next she produced the tall mountains, the pleasant haunts of the gods, and also gave birth to the barren waters, seas with its raging surges, all without the passion of love. Thereafter she lay with sky, and gave birth to ocean with its deep current. So when you have a creatrix, at first she gives birth to many things that exist, and then she ends up having relations with sky, her greatest creation, according to this myth, and produces other things. Again, life comes from life. Now, the matriarchal myth, this one's kind of interesting. In the beginning, this is 22, read along with. In the beginning was chaos and darkness. Chaos was a great vast sea, in which all elements were mixed together without form. This is sort of like the Chinese myth, where everything is sort of a soup. Out of this sea rose Eurynomé, the great goddess of all things. She emerged from the waves naked and began to dance on the sea, as there was nothing for her to stand upon. Suddenly the south wind blew and spun her around. It is said that the north wind has miraculous fertility powers, and when she spun around, Eurynomé grasped at the north wind. The great serpent of the waters, Ophion, saw Eurynomé dancing and was filled with desire. He made love to her immediately. She then assumed the form of a lovely bird and gave birth to the great universal egg. Ophion coiled his tail around this egg until it cracked, spilling out creatures all over the newly formed world. Eurynomé loved Ophion for a time, and they were to live on Mount Olympus, home of the gods. However, Ophion became obnoxious and tiresome, bragging how he had fathered all things. Eurynomé grew weary of him and, quote, bruised his head with her heel, unquote. He was then cast down into the dark regions of the earth. How dare the father claim to have something to do with his children because it's the mother that's important? Now, this is something that comes probably out of Crete in some way, shape, or form. Eurynomé is the chief goddess, the chief creatrix, and the male that she has relations with is just a snake. And when he gets out of line, she punishes him, and gone he goes. There was a period in Greek prehistory where there was a ruling queen who had a harvest king every year, and at harvest time the king was sacrificed, and then a new harvest king the next year. But that didn't last, and that was fairly localized. Gaia and Uranus. Gaia, Mother Earth, emerged out of chaos and then bore her son Uranus, which means heaven or sky, while she was sleeping. When Uranus ascended to his place in the heavens, he showered his gratitude on his mother in the form of rain, which fertilized the earth, and all the dormant seeds within her came to life. Again, blatant sexual imagery, but there it is. And we've heard about the other one. What can we get from these? First of all, things are not easy. Men and women don't understand one another. Men and women don't understand one another at all. They fall in love, they have their kids, and then what happens? The man becomes jealous of the attention being showered on the kids, and so, of course, he kills them, or he traps them in his gullet. So the mother has to conspire, but she can't fight the man herself. So she gets her eldest son to do it. And there's something weirdly Oedipal about this. And with the son's help, the mother and son conspire and either castrate the father or just outright kill him. It's no accident that Aphrodite comes from the generative members of her father, sliced off and thrown into the sea. So it's not just men and women that don't understand one another. Because again, it happens with Kronos this time as the abusive father and Zeus as the avenging son, freeing his siblings from the gullet of Uranus and warring on him until the Titans are cast out and the gods reign in Olympus. Not just when men and women don't understand one another. Generations don't understand one another. The old and the young don't understand one another. And it's this lack of sympathy, this lack of understanding that makes a lot of drama in life. People of good intentions who don't understand one another produce a lot of conflict.
No offense towards anybody who did the creation myth. However, a lot of things are passed over in that I noticed, such as the fact that yes, chaos, the goddess of chaos and the goddess of the earth, together they each had two children. Gaia had Uranus and Nyx, I believe. And then, I can't remember what Chaos had, but Nyx was the goddess of the night, and Uranus was, although he was the son of Gaia, he was her lover, and he was abusive towards her, yes. And every single time she had a child, he would take them and hide them away, and when Gaia got Cronus, who was the god of time, she got Cronus, and Cronus did castrate his father, in which his genitals fell into the ocean, and Aphrodite arose from a giant clamshell. However, with Cronus, he became so crazy with power, and when Rhea began to give birth to her children, and Rhea was a Titan, so when she began to give birth to her children, her firstborn child was actually Aeneas, or Hades, the god of the underworld. Next was Poseidon, then her three daughters, and Zeus was actually the last-born child. And when she gave, what happened was she sent Zeus to Crete, where he was raised by the nymphs.
By the way, we still have time. So.
Where he was raised by the nymphs, and she did give the rock, in fact, to Cronus. However, later on, what happens is once Zeus is about teenage years, Metis, who we know who she is, she helped him create a poison, or poison in the sense that he then came to Cronus' palace and posed as a maid or a servant, where he then served the wine to Cronus, and Cronus then threw up his siblings, in which Zeus stole them and brought them back to Rhea, where Rhea raised them for a couple years, but then Cyclops and the guy with the many arms, until one of them was sent, till Hades was sent into the underworld to retrieve them.
Do you know why I didn't include that version? Because it's so busy.
It is.
It's good to know these things. But I was going for a more simplistic version. Thank you all. Adios. Oh, I guess we're doing it this way. A Day gets to get out of here. B Day stays. Good job.
Wait. like way more knowledgeable than like
And in this room, I have my approach to it, but I'm happy to get some people to see it less. I'm much more
I do kind of Romans, but it's really interesting how the Romans,
they're different.
they're very different.
We'll talk about that.
They're very similar. They're chaotic like the Greeks.
They're also darker.
You're much darker. I mean, like one father and his brother,
Yeah.
he chose the wrong hill.
Yeah, we're gonna get to a lot of that. Thank you, Miss Owens.
Yeah, I love
No, you bring a lot.
I know a lot of people like favorite things that I do is like.
Zoe, what's up?
Yeah,
Okay.
I love Zoe.
Cool.
But yeah, the Greek myths have always been really fascinating, and I love finding extra information on them. Such like my favorite sub myth that we might have has to do with Persephone and Hades, like their love story.
That's a nice story.
However, the
I don't spend time on it, so.
it's a very nice story. However, the story of Eros and Psyche is also one of my favorites.
You're gonna love the fact that it's the Odyssey movie from the 1990s, which is going to twist and combine some of the myths and tell some things
I
wrong.
haven't seen that movie yet.
You'll like it. It's a good movie, but it is not going to be the pure. It just isn't. So accept that for coming in, and you'll enjoy it.
I know that it's not going to be pure. None of Greek mythology is pure. However, I think the reason why I like Psyche so much is because she was one of the first mortals who became immortal. She was a goddess after Eros fell in love with her and begged Zeus to
Have
make
you
her mortal.
seen the chart on Mrs. Solzvik's wall?
Which one?
There's a chart of the gods and all the various
Yes.
stuff. Okay, that came to me from a Latin teacher in Maine. I gave it to Mrs. Solzvik when we came here. But have you studied it? Because I
Yes,
think you'd love it.
I sat next to it last
Okay,
year, and I just
okay.
kept. It was my favorite thing to look at.
Wonderful, wonderful. Then I'm happy it's there. I will see you later.
You too.
Take care. Emma, did you want to know something?
Did I?
I don't know. You had a curious look, but maybe I was misinterpreting it.
I don't know. Maybe I was just like deep in thought and I was just zoning out. I don't
Okay,
know
no,
what's
that's
happening.
okay. I don't know. I thought you might have wanted to learn about your grade or something, but I'll
What? Oh, okay. Tell me.
get a 97. You did.
Oh, thanks.
Actually, you got a 98. Now that I think of it, which is an A plus. Bye.